You know, everyone who stands in a place like this, in a pulpit, and is responsible for interpreting and reflecting upon the gospel begins by consulting a number of resources, commentaries, and so forth that have gone before. So I want to start this morning by reflecting with you on one of these resources, the work of that eminent theologian Charles Schulz in his seminal work, A Charlie Brown Christmas. You know the story. Charlie just doesn't get Christmas. He doesn't understand Christmas. And so his friends decide that the way to help him is to make him the director of their Christmas pageant. And so he comes to the rehearsal, and of course everyone has their own agenda. They're all off doing their own thing. One of his friends wants to make sure that her part reflects the fact that she has naturally curly hair. Another one wants to be sure that his piano playing can be appropriate. And then Charlie is faced with the neighborhood decoration contest, you know, and it's even, his dog even enters it. And not only that, but Snoopy wins. The doghouse gets first prize. And Charlie's reaction is, oh, good grief. And then his friends decide that what Charlie can really do best is they're going to send him out to find the Christmas tree. And as they send him out to find, as they say, the perfect tree, Lucy says to him, yeah, Charlie Brown, find the perfect tree. You know, pink aluminum. And so you know, of course, what happens. He brings back this poor little bedraggled pine tree that's losing its needles every time the wind blows. And they all look at him and say, Charlie Brown, you blockhead. And he says, I just don't get it. Can't anybody tell me what Christmas is about? And Linus says, well, sure, Charlie Brown, I can tell you. And he goes out on the stage, and all the kids clear the stage, and it gets dark, and a spotlight comes down on Linus, and Linus stands there, and he starts reciting from St. Luke's Gospel. Lo, the angel of the Lord appeared before them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. He says, that's what Christmas is about, Charlie Brown. Well, that's sort of what John's doing in today's gospel lesson. John is a theologian and a mystic, so when he writes about the meaning of Jesus' birth, he writes out of his theology, out of the image and imagination of his prayer life. There are no shepherds, there are no stars, there are no kings, no Bethlehem, no manger, no Joseph, no Mary. Had John been writing today, I suspect he might have started his version of the good news with the words, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. And so he transports us back to the beginning of time, to before the beginning of time, before anything at all was created, before the world began. The Logos, the Christ, was with God and was God. Was God. In the beginning, the Word was God. That's an amazing statement. Astonishing. And we're meant to be astonished. We're meant to be hushed. All of our theologizing about Christmas and the Incarnation is silenced by pushing back of the story to the very beginning of everything. I've read that the beginning of John's Gospel can be understood as a midrash on the beginning of Genesis. A midrash is a way of commenting on a part of the Hebrew Scriptures to get to the deeper meaning of a passage. So to say that this is a midrash on Genesis is to say that we're going to connect the two, and that what we read will help us understand each of the passages more clearly. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. Think about that. He who was with God in creation, the one who is God revealing himself to humanity, this one became a person, became flesh and blood, as completely human as you and me, but also a person who was the Word, who was God's own self. And then the very next thing we're told is that all things were made through him. That would be as in all things. Everything. Everyone. Again, simply an amazing statement. Breathtaking. Which would explain a lot about who we are. We're those people who have promised and continually promise over and over again to seek Christ in all persons. Not some people, not most people, all persons. Now, that is a bit inconvenient, isn't it? This news that John is proclaiming at the beginning of the fourth gospel. Inconvenient because often we don't want to recognize the Word, the Christ, in all persons. If we're honest with ourselves, there are some people who we might not want to be of Christ, so we might not have to serve them. Christmas is so much easier if you just stick to the nativity scene and think about cuddly sheep and a cow in the background and hay in the manger and shepherds falling all over themselves with excitement like so many children in a Christmas pageant, or children coming Christmas morning to see what's under the tree, which, by the way, also doesn't seem to be part of the story either. Until you get to the part about light. In him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Matthew, Luke, and John share one special way of telling it. There's one image, one symbol, and only one symbol that they all use to talk about the birth in Bethlehem. They all talk about light. The light of the star in Matthew, the light that shone around the shepherds in Luke, the true light that enlightens everyone in John. The light shines in the darkness, John proclaims, and somehow we understand that. We understand that that truth cannot be better expressed in any other words or with any other image. What John and Luke and Matthew all say about Christmas is that a new light has begun to shine. Gradually, quietly, but with absolute certainty. And by that light, we begin to see. By that light, we begin to see who we are and who we're created to be. Because it's in the person of Jesus that what it means to be a human being is finally made clear. In him we see that our lives are made whole. In him we see that hope needs never to be abandoned. Never. And that we contain possibilities beyond our imagination. So, here in this corner is the Word and all that he has done since before time, in time, and beyond time. And in the other corner is John, the man who was a lampstand. He was not the light, but he came to bear witness to the light. So now maybe we could do that. We could bear witness to the light that comes from the Word who was with God and was God in the beginning. Maybe we could be like John and be a lampstand from which this light that comes from the Word who was with God and was God in the beginning can shine forth. That first Christmas, the light shone and it continues to shine. By that light, we've been given the power to become children of God and to take our places with the light. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. All those other lights, the ones on trees and shopping centers and houses and office buildings, are at best a faint reminder of the light we celebrate during the Christmas season. The new light that shines from Bethlehem and from the very heart of God. That is our gift, our prize, and our calling to name and to share. That, Charlie Brown, is the Christmas story. That, my brothers and sisters, is our story.